We're just over halfway through 2024 already somehow, so I'm going to rank all of the 2024 movies that I've seen so far. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another tier list ranking video. Today, like I said up front, I'm going to be ranking all 19 2024 movies that I've seen so far. I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Those are rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up. And you're right. I've had a busy year personally. I've been dealing with a move the past few weeks, so I haven't been able to get to the theater or watch new movies on streaming as much as I would like. Plus, I've been putting a big emphasis on watching TV shows, whether that's rewatching shows or just watching like shows that have been on my list for a long time. So I've been watching a lot of TV this year. That being said, I've still gotten to 19 movies, and I've been trying to prioritize ones that I have actual interest in, not just going to see every single movie. But there's a few upcoming that I should have some reviews for, notably Deadpool and Wolverine. Hopefully I get to see Twisters. But regardless, I've seen 19 movies, so I'm going to rank them. I got my standard tier list here. Before I dive into this, though, hit that like button, subscribe into that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And if you want extra content, from reaction videos to commentary tracks for movies and shows to live Q&As, you can get that over on my Patreon. Your support over there truly does mean the world. Anything goes a very long way. Let's get down to business. All right, so the tiers I'm working with are S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. Again, these are my standard tiers usually. I don't have E tier because I feel no need for it. But these movies are fully randomized. Without further ado, let's dive in. First, we got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the fourth film in the New Apes series. Loved the trilogy. Every single one of them are a 4 out of 5 or higher for me. And this movie was a real big disappointment. It lacked compelling characters. It was overly long. It was uninteresting, frankly. And so I'm going to put it in like, I don't know, D tier? Really wasn't a fan of this Apes movie, and when I compare it to a lot of the other movies on this list, this one let me down. I remember when I walked out, I was like, that felt like 3.5 hours. I didn't really care for any of the characters, and the biggest issue I had is it didn't use its two strongest characters. Proximus Caesar and Raka. Those are the two standouts, and they did not have enough screen time. Forgettable. Truly forgettable. I know a lot of people like this one. More power to you if you do. Wasn't my jam. Moving on, though, we've got Roadhouse. I'll go C tier with Roadhouse. It's cheesy just like the original. Doesn't have as much charm or heart as that original film, but it's still fun to see Jake Gyllenhaal kick ass. Conor McGregor in this movie, about as over the top as it's gonna get, but it makes for entertainment. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of disposable, and it does feel like a movie you would just rent from Redbox. Rest in peace, Redbox, by the way. On like a Saturday night with your friends in the middle of the summer, but it's entertainment. Not a lot to take away from it, but it's entertaining. If I'm going back to Roadhouse, though, I'm just gonna watch the original, and I'm not really gonna revisit this one. Next, we got Arthur the King, a very charming movie. I'm putting it in B tier. Has so much heart. If you're an animal lover, specifically dogs, this one is going to strike a chord with you. And for me, someone who's never had a pet, it was still able to get me there emotionally, and I dug Arthur the King. It surprised me, and what really shocked me, it's not just your stereotypical dog movie. There's a sense of adventure here, and if you're into like extreme sports, this is for you. There's one scene on a zip line involving bikes where my heart rate increased in the theater, and I was like, man, I was looking around at the other two people in the theater. I was like, oh wow, this is pretty dope. So didn't expect to be, you know, in this high stakes situation in Arthur the King, but it got me there. So B tier movie, check it out with the fam if you haven't. It's a good family movie night movie. Next we got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, a film I'm in the minority on. A lot of people really did not like this movie, and I'm one of its defenders. Do I think it's fantastic? Not at all. Do I think it's a pile of shit? No, and that's what a lot of people were saying. I just really like the characters in this world, specifically Phoebe. And I think that, you know, McKenna Grace does a great job portraying her. In this movie in particular, her character's in a new place and undergoing change, and so she feels almost left out, and she's not allowed to be a Ghostbuster to the capacity she would like, and so she feels like an outsider, and we've all felt outcast, you know, at some point in our lives, I feel, and so she was very relatable. Knocked it out of the park with the performance, but the movie was funny as well. Finn Wolfhard got to show off his comedic chops. It's, you know, not the most exciting when it comes to the third act. It does feel more like your stereotypical MonsterVerse, Transformers type of movie where you've got, you know, this evil entity you have to defeat, and it does feel a little repetitive in terms of the Ghostbusters formula. I would actually go back of B tier with it right now. I liked it. I think it's nowhere near as good as Afterlife, but it definitely got way too much hate. It's a solid B tier movie in my opinion, and one that I could revisit and have fun with. Next, we have A Quiet Place Day One. I'm going to go A tier with that movie. Very, very quality horror film, but surprisingly, more of a character drama in a way, where you're focusing on these two characters in this post-apocalyptic world, and they're just having human connections. They're trying to get pizza. They're trying to survive. They're just doing these little sweet things, and they grow a nice little bond over the course of the film. Frodo the cat stole the show. Lupita knocks it out of the park. Joseph Quinn continues to prove he's the man. Quiet Place Day One worked for me. I've seen a lot of complaints against this film saying it didn't expand the world enough and a prequel was supposed to bring something new and interesting. And I thought, what more are we supposed to learn from A Quiet Place's world? I mean, I feel like the opening of Part 2 took care of that. The opening of Part 2 was a prequel to the rest of the franchise on day one with Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And I was like, okay, I get it. This is just a way to tell a story in this world with other characters. I feel like you could make an endless amount of Quiet Place films with just new characters because everyone has different experiences, everyone's got different backgrounds, and you could just have them take place all throughout. Now, eventually they need to spice it up a bit or it would get stale, but A Quiet Place Day One, very good. It still had those thrills and moments where you hold your breath and tense up in the theater, but it had this real human connection that I had a soft spot for. It really worked for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of Day One. Another movie I enjoyed the hell out of was The Fall Guy. I'm putting that right behind Day One in A tier. The Fall Guy deserved so much better. It really did. It was a blast, and it was a movie that made me appreciate movie making. Those are some of my favorite types of films, and we got to see the behind the scenes of stunts and stunt men, and I gained a whole new appreciation for them. But on top of that, we got Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt having fantastic chemistry. There's action in here, though it's not as action-packed as you might think, but the comedy is really what works. And on top of that, the romance. So it's a rom-com at its heart. There's some awesome needle drops in here, specifically Taylor Swift with All Too Well, and it's just a fun movie. I also want to shout out Aaron Taylor Johnson. He might have been a scene stealer here. That guy crushed it. And The Fall Guy, delightful movie. Highly recommend to those who didn't see it. I know a lot of people didn't because it underperformed highly at the box office, but check it out at home, whether that's renting it, buy the Blu-ray, it's worth it. One of the most entertaining movies I've seen this year, truly a blast. Moving on, we've got Damsel, a Netflix original starring Millie Bobby Brown. I'm going to put this in C tier, probably behind Roadhouse. That seems fair. This movie didn't provide much. I thought Millie Bobby Brown was great. I think she is an overhated actress in terms of her acting capabilities. A lot of people are like, oh, she's bland. I disagree strongly. I think she gives a great performance here with what she's given. The biggest fault with Damsel is it doesn't know what it wants to be. It has an identity crisis. If it committed to just being a one-location thriller where Millie Bobby Brown's character is trying to escape a dragon, and that was the whole movie, hell yeah, that would have worked. But what it evolves into is a movie that I just wasn't there for. It became your conventional straight-to-streaming film with even that, you know, digital Netflix look that just took me out ever so slightly. But there's about a 25-minute chunk here where I was like, holy shit, this movie's really interesting. You've got Millie Bobby Brown, like, stuck in this cave system in this medieval time period, and she's trying to escape a dragon. It's literally her character evading a dragon after she gets thrown down there by a cult, pretty much. I was like, I'm in. And then the movie just became your typical forgettable fantasy princess drama, but there was a really promising setup there. It's C tier at best. It could honestly be D. Moving on, we got Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. I am not a Fury Road guy. I know that really shocks a lot of people, but honestly, the movie just never worked for me. Visually, out of this world, there's no denying that. But Furiosa is better than Fury Road to me. I felt something when I watched this movie for the characters. That's something I didn't experience with Fury Road. I think early on, we get this picture painted of Furiosa's life from her childhood, and it makes her so easy to root for later on in the film. You've got Chris Hemsworth as Dementis playing this wicked villain who is just one of those characters you want to slap in the face when you're watching it. And Furiosa, as I look at it here on this tier list, I go, it's probably one of the better movies I've seen this year, but it's not like a personal favorite of mine. So I'll go top of B tier with Furiosa. Strong 4 out of 5. I just don't see myself ever revisiting it. It's on the longer side, and that Mad Max world is not one I really like to play around in a lot as a viewer, but I get that there's a huge appeal for this franchise, though it is more niche than you'd think, because this one bombed at the box office, and it's not like a Star Wars or even an Apes where a lot of people are going to show up in droves to see it. So Mad Max, more of a niche franchise, but Furiosa, better than Fury Road to me, and one of the best looking movies I've seen this year. Moving on, we've got Hitman. Hot take incoming. A lot of people love this one. I found it to be pretty run-of-the-mill. And when I mean pretty run-of-the-mill, it's about as basic as it gets. I didn't know what to expect going in. There's minimal action. It's more so just a rom-com, and that's fine. Glenn Powell, charming as hell. He's proven that time and time again. But the movie didn't provide much for me. It was kind of shallow, and I was like, it's not funny. People were calling it a screwball comedy. I don't see it that way. But, you know, a lot of people apparently thought this movie was hilarious. Not my sense of humor. Wasn't working for me. It just wasn't. So, I mean, I have to go top of D tier with Hitman, which is, like, probably offensive to a lot of you out there who loved Apes and Hitman. Neither movie did it for me. And Glenn Powell, you know, he's great. If it's anyone that's not Glenn Powell, if it's just some random B or C tier list leading man, like if Taylor Kitsch was in this movie, you know who I'm talking about? The guy from John Carter, Battleship, of course, Friday Night Lights. This movie would never be discussed. It's just because it's Glenn Powell. And I, you know, maybe if it got a theatrical release, things would have been different, but Hitman, it kind of just came and went for me. At least I thought it was. Next, we have Late Night with the Devil, movie that's really grown on me since I saw it, and I liked it a lot. But it is the best horror movie I've seen this year. And look at the rest of the list. Let me make sure that's a correct claim. That I've seen this year, yes, it is the best horror movie of the year. I'm gonna go. Man, this is tough. I honestly might go A tier with it. I am. I'm gonna put it at the back of A tier, behind The Fall Guy and A Quiet Place Day One. Quiet Place Day One's technically horror. You're right. That's going to be my favorite horror movie of the year. But Late Night with the Devil's right there. Late Night with the Devil, incredible concept for a film. It immerses you in this talk show from the jump. It's shot, edited, everything like a late night talk show. Even the sound design of the film makes it sound like you're, you know, watching an old broadcast. David Dastmalchian finally got his time to shine as a leading man here, and it's a movie with some abstract ideas. There's some imagery that's haunting because of the practical effects, but my God, by the time the credits rolled and the big reveal happens, I was like, they went for it, and it worked. Late Night with the Devil, freaky movie, very disturbing. It didn't, like, horrify me like I thought it would, but it's just really unsettling from the jump, and it's a concept that works. Super original horror film. It's on Shudder, I want to say now. You guys should check it out if you haven't seen it. I actually got to see it in theaters. Next, we got If, Imaginary Friend. This is the John Krasinski directed film. I'm in the minority on this one, in a good way, for me. I liked it quite a bit. It warmed my heart. I initially was pretty high on it out of the theater. I've thought on it a bit more. It's dropped a bit for me, but still quite a delightful film. In fact, enough for me to put it at the top of B tier, because I'm viewing this through the lens of a family movie. A movie that, you know, a family with, say, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, and then a couple in their 30s or something would sit down and watch on a Friday night. And that is the type of movie you should get. It's got something for everybody. It's going to warm everyone's heart. It has the Up effect, where, like, the first 10 minutes are really sad, applicable to If. And you've got Ryan Reynolds being charismatic as ever. Steve Carell, very funny in this film, all right? He plays the character Blue. It plays it safe, sure, but it's a heartwarming family film with scenes that, you know, kids will just look at and go, oh, that's so whimsical. There's a sense of magic here. And it's a movie that reminds you of childhood bliss and how awesome things are when you're a kid, but how that can be stripped away from you really quickly, and how sometimes it's okay to want to be a kid forever and go back to your childhood memories. We can never be a kid again, but we'll always have those memories to cherish. And If really warmed my heart. If you haven't seen it, check it out. A lot of people were really hard on this one. I don't get that. And again, to each their own. I don't care if someone loves or hates this movie. To me, I can't see how people can walk out of this one and just crap on it. But again, that's just how I feel. Moving on, we've got the first S-tier film, Challengers. Putting it up there right now. It's a movie of the year for me. I mean, we're talking 3 electric performances, a score that altered my brain chemistry, dare I say. I love Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and I've listened to that score nonstop since the film came out. Luca Guadagnino, you crushed it here. I mean, the final act of this film is truly riveting, and this movie's damn near a thriller from start to finish. I love how they include flashbacks just to add so much depth to all 3 relationships in this film. This movie gets steamy, it gets sexy. It doesn't hide from that. There's relationship drama out the wazoo. You've got people playing the game, backstabbing. You've got some intense tennis sequences. It rules. It's the movie of the year for me, and it's one of those movies where the final 10 minutes, out-of-body level stuff, like how I feel when I watch the end of Whiplash, and I'm just like, this is cinema. That's how I feel when I watch the end of Challengers, and I'm probably going to rewatch it very, very soon. Really is the only movie I've seen this year that, like, floored me, and I was like 5 out of 5 walking out. So Challengers is my movie of the year. Next, we got Dune Part 2, which is a lot of your guys who are watching this movie of the year. A lot of people think I hate Dune, and think I hate Dune 2, simply because I don't think it's God's greatest gift to humanity, and that's fine. Usually, I come out of those films and I feel underwhelmed because I go in expecting the greatest thing I've ever seen, because that's the level of hype that they receive. And again, when I watched Dune in 2021, I saw it twice in theaters. Both times I was like, it just didn't do it for me. Rewatched it before this movie a few months ago and liked it quite a bit more. Then I watched Dune Part 2, and I expected it to be the greatest thing ever, and it just wasn't for me. And so I was disappointed with that. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. 2026, 2027, 2028, one of those years whenever we get the next Dune movie, is going to roll around, and I'm going to see this movie, the new Dune, and I'm going to watch this one again before, and I'm going to like it a lot more. Because I'll be removed from the hype that just, whether people want to admit it or not, it creates a narrative in your head that you just can't turn off sometimes. And that's my relationship with Dune is I think they're very well-crafted movies, both of them, Part 2 especially. Visually, it's out of this world. It's got Hans Zimmer's score. It's great. Performances are awesome. It's on paper, technically, very well-crafted movie. It's just not my personal favorite thing, and I don't think people can fathom when I say that. To me, I'll always care for the original Star Wars trilogy more. I'll care for, the best of the best for the MCU more, and it's no disrespect to Dune, it's just my personal taste. And I've come to the realization over the course of these two movies that I respect Dune. Dune is just not like my jam. I'm not over the moon about it. The lowest I can go with this movie is the B tier, and I'll probably put it at the top of that, actually, because I would watch the movies above it that right now I think they're better to me, and I think I would watch them over Dune Part 2, but I still have to respect Dune Part 2, I do. I remember walking out of the movie and I was like, I really liked what they had to offer, but they did the thing again. And the thing I'm referring to is I thought this was going to conclude everything, and I felt like it still left so much open that I was like, damn, we got to do this again. So hopefully with Dune Messiah, they actually resolve the story, but then they'll go, wait, you're going to have to wait 3 more years to see the next one. That's my thing with Dune, but again, I'm aware I'm in the minority, and I don't even hate Dune. Like, I know a lot of people love it. It's just something that I think is overhyped. Next, we have Inside Out 2, which I'm going to put at the top of A tier. I really loved this one, guys. This was a home run for Pixar. It was a return to form. I know I've said that a lot in, shorts and videos, but I mean it. I think this movie's special. It's more mature than the first Inside Out, and it grows up with the audience. What I mean by that is everyone who saw the first Inside Out in 2015, it's been almost 10 years, a new set of emotions introduced that are more applicable to our lives now. Anxiety being the main one, because I think everyone suffers from that in some way, shape, or form. Inside Out 2 ruled. It's funny. It's got a whole new set of emotions, and it's more mature. I loved this movie. 4.5 out of 5. It's the best Pixar sequel, except for, I'd say, Toy Story 2. But Inside Out 2, damn great film, and I'm really happy to see it lighting up at the box office. That is a movie that deserves it, and I believe it's become the highest grossing or third highest grossing animated film. But that thing's had some legs. It's only been 1 month as of this video. 1 month, and it's already at 1.3, almost 1.4 billion. That thing ain't stopping anytime soon. To the moon with Inside Out 2. Just like Riley. Oh, I'm going to cry right now. Hold on. Take her to the moon for me. My heart just hurt when I said that. All right, too soon. And it's been 9 years. Anyway, Godzilla. I don't know why I said it like that. It's because I saw GK and my mind's been on Cobra Kai. I was about to say Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai never dies, by the way, baby. Tons of Cobra Kai content coming this week. This is the first time. Breaking news. Only to the people who watch this video. So if you didn't watch this video, you missed out. I've seen Season 6, Part 1. I haven't talked about it until right now. I've seen Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 1. All 5 episode reactions dropping this week. Review dropping this week. All I'll say is this. Holy shit. All right, anyway, we'll talk about that a lot this week. Godzilla x Kong's going to be the first F-tier movie. There you go. Monsterverse, don't care about it. And I'm not even holding back in this video. It feels good. It feels good. It's like when Toby puts on the black suit.
This is something else.
This movie's trash. Unwatchable. I fell asleep. I think I might have said this in my review. You guys ever do the thing where you're head bobbing? Whoa, I was doing that this entire movie. Stinker. Immaculate was a D-tier movie. I'm going to put it at the back of D-tier. I really liked the concept. It wasn't very, scary in my opinion. It was immersive. It was like this creepy religious horror in a way. The final moments, it's like a shock value moment. It was definitely a wow, they went for it type of thing, but it's not like, it hasn't stuck with me. It almost would work better as a short, like a 30-minute thing. Like Immaculate could have been 30 minutes. 30 minutes, and I think it might have been better for it. Next we have Kung Fu Panda 4, which again, I hate to have to keep doing this. You know what? Nah, Kung Fu Panda 4, back at D tier. I know I've put a lot of movies down there lately. Kung Fu Panda 4, huge disappointment. Huge. I rewatched the trilogy and actually watched 3 for the very first time leading up to this, and I was like, this could be just the best animated series ever. And then this movie hits. 3 wasn't great, but 1 and 2 are amazing. And then 4 rolls around, and I'm like, oh, it lacks any of the heart and charm of the first 3. And at this point, even the OG, the OG characters take such a back seat that it doesn't feel like Kung Fu Panda, and so that was a bummer. This one's forgettable. It did well at the box office. We're getting a 5th one, I'm almost sure of it, but it's a bummer. Next, we have The Idea of You. I will go not S, not A, not B. This movie was like based on like a Harry Styles fanfic. If you guys have seen the After movies, I've seen parts of every single one of them with the Pretty Much It commentary tracks because my girlfriend Cam watches them. They're those types of movies that go straight to Netflix that you watch to make fun of. Like, you watch it as a comedy, and it's actually pretty entertaining. Idea of You, fine. Actually had some sweet moments, surprisingly, and a banger of a song with August Moon. Is that the band that's like One Direction? Have some bangers in there. Idea of You, it's like teetering on the C to D line. You know what? I might have been a bit hard on Hitman. I'll put it back at the back of C tier, and I'll move Idea of You probably here. I would watch it over Kung Fu Panda 4, and you know what? I'd probably watch it over Immaculate. I would, however, watch Apes over Idea of You, and Hitman in C feels appropriate. I was maybe a little harsh on it. I mean, Glenn Powell alone could have it in C tier, but if you took him out of the movie, it might be an F tier movie, legitimately. So that's fine. Just did some reordering. I'm cool with that. And the last movie on this list is Madam Web. It's the worst movie of the year I've seen. I'm putting it at the back of F tier. It's unwatchable. It's unwatchable. Not even for the memes. Truly horrific. The vibes were at an all-time low in the theater when I went to see this at the press screening. I walked into the theater. It's not a theater they normally have the press screenings at. I walked in, and I walked in, and the door was like at the back of the theater. And when I walked in, it was like the image, like the press image for Madam Web was on screen. And then I looked out in the audience. It was like there was probably 15 people in there, and you could hear a pin drop, and no one was talking. Usually there's conversation going. The lights were already down, and I was like, this is about to be a shit show. And it was. It was. It's the worst movie of the year. So Madam Web kind of rounds out this list with a whimper. But those are the 2024 movies I've seen so far. Don't know why I just did that. But sometimes I pop on an accent when I'm about to stutter over my words, and it kind of helps me. But anyway, these are the 2024 movies I've seen so far. I got a lot of catching up to do, notably with movies like Abigail, Civil War. There's a few others in there I want to see. Twister's upcoming. Hope to see that, but I'll actually be out of town for this week, and I'll tell you guys why eventually. But that does it for my 2024 movies I've seen so far, ranked in a tier list from S to F tier. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know your favorite movie of the year and your least favorite so far. I'll be ranking all the movies I've seen by the end of the year. Hopefully I can double this and then some. I probably will, to be honest with you. I'll have at least 40, 50 movies at the end of the year, so I'll do a whole mega ranking at the end. Stay tuned for tons of Cobra Kai content coming this week. And yeah, that'll do it. So I appreciate your support as always. Stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.